Hello, everyone, and welcome to another IndieX 2020 showcase. This time we have the pleasure of being here with Avi, co-founder and main designer for Raji, an ancient epic. How are you doing, Avi?
Oh, I'm doing good and I'm grateful to be here and very exciting.
Thank you, thank you. We are also
Yeah.
very grateful that you were able to come and join us today. You have an amazing game, and we are going to show it a little bit of the demo that you were so grateful to enable us to do. And for those who don't know what your game is, can you describe it a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Raji, an ancient epic, is a game set in ancient India where you play as Raji, a young girl who is tasked and chosen by the gods to stand against a demonic invasion. And her destiny is to, defend the human race against this demonic invasion. Plus, she needs to save her younger brother who has been abducted by the demons. So that's what this game is about. It takes you through. It's inspired by Indian mythology and Balinese mythology, and we give you a lot of cultural significance through this game. And we are a team based out of Pune, India.
Okay, very good. And for those wondering why you are not seeing Gavi, it's because at the moment he doesn't have a camera. Don't worry, we chose the symbol for the game just to represent him so you can have something to look at. I think your game will probably speak for itself. Of course, I have some questions to ask you, but I think it's time we actually get into the game and show people what it's made of. And of course, for everyone in the chat listening and watching, feel free to leave questions for Avi as well, because I'm certain it will arouse a lot of feelings inside, and it's an absolutely gorgeous game. But having said that, let's get into it. So
Sure.
as you can see, we are immediately greeted with a very different title screen. You see a beautiful landscape and the title shown, and our main protagonist is over there. Was this choice? What was the meaning behind choosing this as the title for your demo? Was there any meaning in this choice?
Oh yeah, the title Raji comes
This
from the
is the
fact
heart of
that
our
the
story.
game is actually inspired from a state called Rajasthan,
Golu
and
and
Rajasthan in
Raji,
India is known for its
brother and
medieval
sister.
architecture. So the game's initial inspiration came from a vacation trip I was having in at New Year's 31st December 2013, and during that, I saw some medieval architecture in
And
Jaisalmer,
this was their whole
Rajasthan.
world.
And I came
This
back
one
to
small carnival.
to meet Shruti and Ian, who are the
The other
co-founders
performers
with
were their
me.
friends,
And
their only
that's
family.
where, we first discussed that
This
we
was
be,
home.
making a game that represents India, because
On that
games
day
from
before
this
their
part of the
performance, Raji took
region
her
is
brother aside.
very underrepresented
Did you
in the
forget, little brother?
in
She
the
asked
gaming
him,
industry. So Rajasthan
and she
is
tied a rakhi
something
to his
not
hand,
easy to pronounce,
for
especially
it
for
was the
Ian.
feast of Raksha
And
Bandhan.
so Ian he shortens names
To
sometimes,
Raji.
or most of the times. All the Indian
Although it was a
students, so
feast day,
he
they
knew.
still
So
had
he
coins
just
to earn.
shortened it to Raji,
So
because
Raji walked on
first
tight
the
ropes
when
and
the first
tumbled for the
presentation
crowd.
was made, we didn't have the name for her. But
Hmm.
I think as soon as we were like, what should be the name of the protagonist, and I think it was really quick and like decided on spot, Raji.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
While Golu
It's
told
a
his puppet
beautiful name.
tales
And
of
even more
ancient
beautiful is
times
this
when
introduction
demons
we are
walked the
watching right
lands.
now, which is basically a primer on the beginning of our story, our two main characters,
A
let's say the
long, long
brother
time ago,
and the
a
sister,
demon did penance.
and basically the
For showing
mythological
such
backdrop
devotion,
before
Brahma blessed him with
this game.
immortality,
Did you have to do
the
a lot of
mighty weapon of all.
research to fully understand and to be able to represent the mythology you wanted to represent in a way that you found
Upon
that it
receiving,
was
he
meritorious,
united the
or
demons to
were you
wage a
already a
war.
fan? Were you already knowledgeable of these kinds of things before?
So what happens is, when you grow up in India with the festivals here, you
Bhumi
grow up
Devi
with a
urged
lot
him
of
to stop.
cultural stories and lore, and because of which you know these stories
He
as a
killed her,
kid. And
Ruthlessly without thought.
from kid to playing games and finally becoming a game developer, these stories stay with you for every
This
festival.
angered
And
Shiva greatly,
for people who have played the
and he
game, they will know
stomped,
that we have Durga as goddess Durga playing a major role in the
dividing the
game
continents,
story. And she has a whole
and the
festival
demons
around her, very
were
famous
forever
in
lost.
certain parts of India. So
But as he
that was the
spoke,
idea, that
the
we have
skies
grown up with
darkened,
such amazing
and the
stories,
earth shook,
which are part of the
and other
mythology.
figures dressed as
So
demons
why not
strode through the crowd.
represent some of them?
These were not
And to be
masks.
honest, there are so many
This was not a
stories that
child's
even
tale.
us, we learn new stories through our own game. So certain gods and their avatars, I did not know those stories, and it was fascinating for me also. Yeah, so that was
As
the
the
thought
demons
process,
turned to
that
slaughter,
we will
Raji
try
tried
to
to
be
reach her brother.
inspired by the stories we know, but we are creative, so
He'd
we
been hurt, and he
wanted
was
to make
scared,
our own
but she
original
knew she
story.
must protect him.
Yeah.
Very good. And did this
But in that
initial
moment, Raji
presentation is
failed,
given in the style of
for the
like a
Garasura
puppet
demons
show?
took Goli from
Was
her.
this inspiration from your childhood festivals as well, or did you see that there was a particular region that had a penchant for using these beautiful shadow puppet theaters?
So puppet shows,
Raji,
as you might know, were very famous
awake, my
throughout
child.
almost so many regions in the world. And while the renditions at my place or some of our team members' place is different, this particular style, which you see, is inspired by the Wayang puppet show in Bali, or in the Southeast Asian region, in the Indonesia region. And that's what was very iconic. And you will see other renditions of this style, but Wayang puppet show, if someone puts this on YouTube, they will see where we are coming from.
Hmm.
So that was so eye catching that we just had to do justice to it. And we felt 2D cinematics amazing way of
Yeah.
telling the story, and so far people have loved it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's certainly amazing. Just like these first passages in the game are really
Oh, yeah.
evocative of a huge scale that I think is very important in conveying how small our protagonist is in a very big world. I
Exactly.
don't know if that was a very important message for you to come across.
Yep, it was. And that's what where a lot of
Is this
camera work
place?
went into, to have the protagonist, have the player feel a little insignificant compared to everything at what's playing around her. And we want the player to feel that Raji is just a mortal girl. And even
She is
after you get
so
blessed by
young.
the gods, where you have
A
get these
child.
powers
Hmm.
in the game,
Remember
if you
Shiva's
stop paying
words.
attention during the
It is
gameplay,
so
during the
much
combat,
weight
you will
to
be
put on the
punished. So you don't
shoulders of a
become a
mortal.
immortal god.
Is
you
this one
you are
strong
still a
enough?
mortal with a very important
Time will
mission,
tell.
and while you're risking your own life. So we wanted this feeling to be conveyed
Ma Durga,
through the game's
I need you.
camera and the environment and the sense of scale.
Yeah, I think you have been successful at that. It is very reminiscent of some of the camera changes that the earlier God of Wars had. Um, they tended to use a more close-up camera during most of the game and then pull back for the big
Yeah.
moments. You tend to
Yeah.
keep it a bit more far away all throughout the time. But as a big fan of God of War as well, when I played this game, I immediately thought of those fantastic scenarios and incredible views. And I think you've been capturing that feeling very, very, very well.
Well, thank you. That's great to hear. And yes, God of War was one of the inspirations. And if you know
Her
Yotun,
brother and the other
and
children
we
had
were
been
also
seized
inspired
by
by
the
Bastion,
Garasura.
Transistor, Hyperlight Drifter, Journeys,
Oh yes.
camera. So
I told
a
her
lot
that
of
she
these
must be
things went
strong.
into the mix.
Her journey
And
would be
there we had
difficult
our
and
own
full of
unique kind
unknowns.
of a camera out of all of this.
Yeah, that list is
I
huge.
blessed her with the
All of
Trishul,
those games are amazing.
my most powerful
Yeah.
weapon
So you
that Shiva
you
had given
started
to me.
development how long ago?
So yeah, I'll just share the
This,
timeline.
with
So
Raji's own
so we
serenity and
started
strength,
officially in
would save her brother.
2017, January 2017. And from then we started working towards a Kickstarter. We had only six, I think seven members in our team, and the Kickstarter demo we made was in 10 months. Unfortunately, the Kickstarter did not go well for us, and we had to cancel it. But after that,
Oh, seems like you were cut off for a bit. Let me check if you're still in the call. Can you hear me?
yeah, hello,
Okay, good,
can you
good.
hear me?
Yeah, yes. Okay, awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
because for
my
a little
bad.
bit you disappeared. No, no, go ahead. Everything's okay.
Yes. So what was I saying? Oh God, I forgot. Yeah. So after Kickstarter, we went into this find the funds mode, which was really a hard time, and it was not easy for us because we
She
were
walks
unproven
boldly
studio.
into
We
a
had a
dark
very
lane.
nice demo. People
She
loved it,
leaps
but still,
chasms.
Yeah.
She
it was a
stands
risk for
fearless before a
any of the
goddess.
publishers. But finally, we got an Unreal Dev grant, and then we met Super.com, and we finally started official production of. So, what you're playing
There is fire in her.
it was started in
Yes, it
October
must be tempered.
2018,
Mm.
and from
But
then
without
to
that
here,
fire,
almost
she would have
two
already
years
given
later,
up.
we are here with the
Many
game complete.
mortals
So
would
that's
not
where
be
most of the
brave
time went.
enough to climb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty
Our
quick
Raji has no
timeline
fear
for
of
development,
heights.
actually.
Watch.
And for something with this kind of quality, I was amazed because the game is already out. It came out this month, or right?
So the game first launched on Nintendo Switch
Mm-hmm.
through Indie Game World in August, on August 18th, and then we launched on PS4, Xbox, PC on October 15th. So
Okay.
yeah, we were, we do know that we put too much
There,
in too
see.
less time, and
She's
that did
learning to think
was a struggle.
and to
We
use the
had to go
skills
through
of her
some
childhood.
crunch
Yeah.
and
It is one thing
some difficult
climbing a
design
mountain,
decisions also,
quite
or development
another
decisions you
to
might call
face
them.
a
So
devil.
yeah, but I think we were very happy, very satisfied the
To
way the
save her
game was
brother,
received,
Raji must
and
face the
we
demons.
almost had a very very good release when it comes to how
She
stable
held
the
the
build
Trishul,
was. We
and it
already
was a
did a
gift of
patch,
great
so yeah,
power.
everyone's happy.
Yeah, very good. It's rare that you see like a game
It was
launching with some
blessed by
success in
Brahma,
that short amount of
Vishnu,
time
and
and with
Shiva,
good
and would help
stability
her
and this
stand
extra
against her
quality.
terrible
So that's a very
foes.
good success story. If you could go back to the beginning of the development, would you give any advice to your younger self?
But it was also a great
Oh
responsibility.
man, like so many.
To wield it, she would need
That
strength,
should be a book. Like I should
courage,
write a book and
and
go back in the
belief.
past. Sorry, from the future, I should write a book. Send it to my past self.
Nice.
We are creatives, and we started a company. Running a business while being a creative is an extremely difficult thing, and because we had so much passion and enthusiasm to do this, to make this happen, so much determination, we were learning things on the fly.
Poor
So
child.
that is
She will
something
find her
dangerous
way.
also, but sometimes you just have no options but to do it. So we that's what we pretty much did, and we were on fumes for a lot of this duration. So to just sum it up, I have to say that at least the pre-production, I will say, I have to say one thing, right? It has to be that the pre-production has to be the strongest
Mm.
time of the team. You have to lay out every single element of what you want. I mean, we had to cancel some things, and there was some feature creep happening at some point, and some things were hectic because of some things were not thought out too well at early stages. But
Hmm.
it was a first game, so we did pretty well according to all of that. But yeah, that's pretty much, I have to say, if I have to sum it up.
Hear your pulse, the beating of a war drum. Feel your heart quicken, the strength flow through you.
Can you hear me, Avi?
Fight, Raji. Be the warrior.
See if we're having some more audio issues. Let me check for a little bit. If I can get. So okay, good. You're
Hello.
back. Good, good. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with Discord service because I'm not sure. But if you asked me a question, can you please repeat it?
I know, no. I was listening to you talking about how everything went a little bit hectic, of course. But since it was your first game, it was to be a little bit expected, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
creatives. You were not used to thinking
See?
business-like
She
and
has the
planning and
game really
everything, and
well.
you.
Now she will
In
bring
fact,
an end
it's
to
good that
him.
you already know this and that you can actually write a book about everything
This
because
dwarf
sometimes
is weaker
people
than the
go
other,
through something, right, and
and
they
the
don't
Trishul
Yeah.
they
is the
don't
most
exactly
versatile weapon.
learn with it, right? But it seems that you have actually taken your let's say not suffering but hardship to heart, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we
So
do plan to even do a full post-mortem also, like method, like go by method also at a later point. I think once we are right now we are a bit occupied with still fixing few of the bugs, some edge cases, some nasty edge cases, and after that, maybe a small break in Christmas, and maybe then we do a post-mortem.
good.
Yeah.
You were the main designer, right?
Yes, I'm the game designer on the project,
Were you
and
responsible for the combat design?
yeah. So for combat design, it's mainly me and Paras. Paras is like the main programmer on the project. We had two programmers, Paras and Deepam. So with Paras is where I mainly worked for combat or any game system, even the camera system. Yeah, most of these gameplay related elements.
No, I think that because the thing that surprised me a lot about the
You
combat
see, my
is that
daughters?
is extremely
They are
simple.
not as strong as you.
Like as a basis, when you think of it, it's
Not all
nothing
foes will be
complex,
foolish
right? So you can
enough
pick it
to
up
make
easily,
so close.
but it's you need to understand it, you need to learn it, and it's fluid. You use the environment very well in terms of like comboing and even linking the dodges to like the most important part of the combat and linking attacks with the dodges is extremely intuitive.
Well,
I found it to
that's
be
great to hear.
yeah, I found it to be like
Yeah.
easy to pick up but difficult to master, which is
Oh,
always what
nice.
you are going for,
Great.
right?
Yeah. So when you say fluid and when you say easy to pick up, these were
Watch
exactly our
this.
intentions with the
She's a
combat,
circus
and
performer, our
we
Raji.
wanted to make
See what
sure
she can do.
that the game is open to a broad audience, and that's why if you see if people do die once or twice, and we always wanted, like I said, right, the feeling of you're a mortal, but you do not want to start feeling like a god because you're not. So that's where the whole timing, and you have to make sure you're dodging at the right moment and using the right moves comes in, and with the triple dodge system where we have a new attack on every single dodge. So the design theme of the game was basically movement leads to combat, and this was a big decision during the game's development, that we go with this theme and apply this to the combat. And when we did this, everything was open. The movement was much better. The dodges, some of the combos, these are all coming from martial arts, some of the Indian martial arts, and yeah, that's where I think we were pretty satisfied. And I think the first time the combat was tested was in PAX Seattle, so we were a little anxious about it. But people, we
The
saw that
mandala shows
the
each person
learning it.
fast.
Some people took it like straight away because they wanted to, they spam spacebar and left click and right click, so they were like, oh, that's how it works. And some people were just doing, like playing very very smoothly, like they press left click and then they wait. And so we made that hologram system to show you exactly what you can do to some extent. Yeah.
Eh,
So yeah.
but you said that
It is myself and
it's your
Golu.
first game. It's your first game as Nodding Hands games, right? Because it seems like you
Yeah,
already
yeah, yeah.
have a lot of experience. I mean, you don't just wake up one day and design a combat system.
No, so so here's the thing. The challenge was this is a first game as a studio, plus it's action adventure genre, which is hard to innovate, hard to match up to the quality of the games out there in this genre. But I think we were up for this challenge, and we had a lot of faith in our abilities and experience from the past. So yeah, we do get very gritty and determined when we were, you know, like when it came to quality, because I think quality was a holy grail for every single department: VFX, art, design, UI, everything. So that's where I think the team stepped up with every milestone, and we delivered what we, you know, what the vision we had.
Okay.
Before this, I have worked on Empires and Allies as a level designer in Zynga and Farmville as a game designer. Those are not the same genres, so there was a lot of there was a learning curve for me also. I mean, of course, I was drawing. Me and Paras, we were both drawing from our experience. Which games do we love? Devil May Cry, Prince of Persia, God of War, Shadow of War, Bastion, Hyperlight Drifter, Jotun, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Guardian of the Light, or what made these games? Why did we like these games, and why are some of them like in the competitor analysis? And what combat system did they have, and why our combat system will be different, and are we sure it's different but not weird, different but still something people will appreciate and learn, and it will have some kind of depth. And you know, you're always limited with scope. You can't go full crazy like 100 skill, a skill tree with 100 skills and all that. So that's where I think the challenge was, and I think we did pretty well for that kind of a situation for our first game.
You said that initially you were only 9 people working on it. Did the team
Yeah,
expand?
seven.
Seven.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
seven. Yeah.
Did the team
Yeah,
expand?
yeah. So we went from 7 to 13 members when we got the
Shrine to
funds.
Kali.
So
Nice.
when we finally got our publisher, we were able to afford expanding, and that, we expanded, and we got some really fantastic people to work with us. And yeah, and everything else is in front of you.
Yeah,
This is
amazing.
what the team of 13 members have made over these
Om
2 years
Shri
almost.
Mahakalikayai Namaha.
She begins to learn the Trishul spire.
So the project, initially, since you went to Kickstarter, I guess the project was a little bit less ambitious, right, than what it currently is. When
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
gained funds, you decided to increase the scope a little bit. How was that? How did you define what you really wanted to do after you increased your possibilities?
So with Kickstarter, right? Because we were a very small team, 7 members, and only 10 months, we were very limited to, especially the gameplay aspects of it. I think art was always fantastic in the Kickstarter also. This game also, what you're playing also, and but gameplay is, I think, where polishing takes so much time and effort that we were kind of missing out on having that grand adventure during that Kickstarter. So we revamped the entire combat system. We changed the camera. In that, the camera was static. In this, the camera is dynamic. In that, the camera wouldn't change. It was a very much 3D isometric camera. And in this one, what you're playing is a dynamic camera which changes according to the environment. Platforming was added, parkour and platforming mechanics, wall run, pillar attacks, movement leads to combat theme came in. Ice and fire were still planned, I think, with Kickstarter, but I think we were able to finally do the skill tree with more of these like fire and ice, because in the demo we only did lighting. All of these things were added. 2D cinematics were added. 2D cinematics were not part of
You must
Kickstarter.
admit,
And
she shows promise.
yeah, I mean, I'm
She
probably
really
missing some of these
has
things.
skills. That
Those
is
murals
true. And it
behind
will be
you,
sorely
those were
tested.
added
But that
to
is not
tell
what I
stories,
meant
I
when
get
I
that.
and that
asked
was
if she was
one feature
strong.
creep moment, which worked out pretty well.
Good, good.
So, so yeah, I think these are
Look here,
few of the
Durga.
things.
They have
Probably
captured
missing
your
out a
own
couple of them,
story.
but yeah, these are the big chunks I think which were
Mahishasura,
added
the
and which made the
shape
game
shifter,
vastly
the
different from what
buffalo
was there for
demon,
Kickstarter.
evil incarnate.
I
Yet,
actually
without
now
him,
I was thinking of
you
games
would
that
not have come
try
to
to
be.
talk a bit
This
about
is the moment
bring a little bit of
when he was
similar
granted the
religion
boon
inspirations, but not
by
to a same degree.
Brahma.
And the only thing I
No
can actually
man
think about right now is
could
Asura's
kill
Wrath.
him.
Do you know
Oh
this
yeah,
game?
yeah. Suraj Wrath, we know about it.
Did it inspire you any for this game?
So
Mahishasura,
Asura's
the
Wrath is like
shape-shifter,
such
the
a
buffalo
huge game,
demon,
right? We tried not to
evil
look at
incarnate.
it, you know,
Yet,
because you get
without him,
overwhelmed and
you would not
you
have
can't
come to be.
really
This
have
is the moment.
some things from it.
And
Or
here,
it was good to just
Mahishasura
know, yeah,
seized
Asura's
the
Wrath's there. It was
heavens,
a game which represented different
unkillable,
cultures
defeating
and people
and
appreciated it.
driving out
But
all
apart from
the
that, when it came
demons,
to scope or
even
mechanics or features,
Indra
we didn't
himself.
really try to look at Asura's Wrath. Yeah.
Not as a comparison, exactly.
Yeah, and even God of War. While God of War One is something which inspires us, and we knew that
Your
God
birth,
of War
Durga.
One is something
The
from
Devas
where
knew it
people
was their
might
only
draw
chance to
comparisons, but the
create a
amount of people
being
doing that was
capable of
not
destroying
expected.
the
So
foe.
we were quite
All their
shocked at the
power
start when we
focused
started
into
seeing some
one body,
journalists put
gifted
headlines with
with all their
India's God of War
weapons.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
I want you
yeah, and we were
forced him back.
man,
I
we
remember it
were like
well.
10 people or
You
something. We were still
were the
expanding the
lion's
transition.
back,
And
leading the
don't
battle
say that.
line.
Like
Yeah, a
that's a
lot of
lot
The
of
pressure.
Devas
yeah.
flocking behind you,
That was a lot of pressure, and those
inspired
teams have
with
hundreds
your
of people. They're
courage.
all super
Mahishasura
crazy
at
studios with
bay,
amazing
forced to
history
take
of
his
games,
true form.
and
The
yeah, the pressure
monstrous
was on.
buffalo, stamping and
I think so.
blowing,
Thankfully, you
crushing
now after
warriors
the
with his
development, you can say
hooves
that
and
you actually were able
throwing
to
them into
deliver
the
on a
air
lot of the
with his
promises.
great
But I'm sure
horns,
since it was your first
killing
work as a
blow
team, and it was
struck
really,
the threshold.
really like as you said, it was a small window
There
of
was no
development.
fear
You have a lot
on
of
your
stories from
face,
development. Are there any
although
particular stories that
Mahishasura had
stick with you?
shaken
Do you
the
remember
heavens
vividly?
themselves. The battle
Oh,
light
okay.
in your
This
eyes,
probably quite a few.
determination on your
Uh,
brow. I
these
knew
murals you
then
see, right?
what the
I have a
Devas
story
had
about them
made, and
because
I
they were
knew then
where you're playing,
what
right? This
change you
area,
would
the whole
bring to
path you
our
came from
world.
did not exist in this level.
From evil
This was literally a
comes
surgery
great
out of a
good.
feature creep moment.
Such is the
So if
balance
you
of the
see
world.
the platform on your left, you see there's a scripture, right? Like a god or something
Mm-hmm. Right
below
here.
those green platforms. So when I was playing the level, and I'm the level designer, so I had this, and I knew that people probably want to know more about the lore. So I put these things next to each other and made a little platforming section and called everyone. And I said, what if this could be a feature?
Yeah.
And I was like, artist. I was to the all the artists, Shruti and I think we had Shreyas, Jale, these people in the studio. I was like, you don't have to worry about
What has
creating
happened
new
here?
assets because
She can
you've
feel
already
the
made these and we
foulness
can just
of
have
his
narration, and
ways.
what we need is
You are
emissive on
surprised?
this. But they took
Mahabalasura's
this to a
demons
whole
have
new
walked
step
one of the holy
further, and
trees of
I
Bhumi
think
Devi.
this Anirudh,
This is why
concept
Shiva
artist,
imprisoned him,
decided to
to stop
paint
such corruption.
these, and then Shruti
What is
hand
corruption?
painted them inside
All
the
things change.
softwares, and then they were brought to the engine, and we decided upon which stories we want to tell. So that's one story. Another story I'd like to share with the viewers is that the game had 3D cinematics at one point, and we were going fully crazy with this, with the scope side of it. Yeah. So 3D cinematics were there, and while they looked promising, it's it's a painful job to polish them and take them to a level where we had the vision of. So they were replaced by 2D cinematics midway production. So 5 months of 3D cinematics were had to be put away. So that was a very hard decision, and I was nervous, like,
Yeah.
because you already have like a 18-month schedule, and you're like 5 months of cinematics are just gone, and now you're relying on 2D ones. But our animator, Isaac, 2D animator, he did a fantastic job, and we were able to get everything done on time and in a very, very nice style. And even there were a lot of step ups before. I mean, if you play the full game, if anyone plays the full game, will notice some VFX also, which was added later. And the colored cinematic, which you see at the start, it was not colored earlier. It was not planned to be colored, but we thought this is the beginning of the game. Let's give them something different.
Yeah.
And later, yeah, we went with the usual style for rest of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is very beautiful because here you in this puzzle you've joined like several aspects. Like you have the tempo growing back, let's say, to
Yeah.
indicate that the player is doing something correctly.
Yep.
You have,
So-
but at the same time you have the beautiful wide shot where the player has a beautiful scenery he can look at, and you also have the puzzle itself, which is it's not something like extremely innovative, but it is done in a way that is not common, right? It's a very very interesting way to make this puzzle. How did you at the time come up with this idea?
So the story behind this puzzle is from the universe of Raji. It's that demons teleported from their realm. So they used some of these holy trees and they corrupted them. And when they corrupted them, these demon faces and the corruption spread and destroyed all the temples and the statues around. So that was the backstory of it. And yeah, the story also was that when Raji does solve them, she gets a vision of from the future,
The tree
and
showed Raji
that's
a
where
vision of Golu,
yeah,
of dark
this was the
clouds and a
story. And when
gathering
it
storm,
came to mechanics,
threatening
we
destruction on
wanted
the world.
we have on purpose kept the
And
puzzles
behind it all,
simple because
a being of
we
great
felt
power
combat is
and
hectic, and we
malice.
want the player to have a breather during the puzzles, which and puzzles should be about the story. They should be about art, but they should not be about a hectic challenge.
Okay.
Right? Because we're already giving you that in combat.
is-
So that this was the thought process
I hope
behind.
she is strong
this
enough
mechanic.
to bear what she finds inside.
I found this little detail of life coming back to the place really good. It reminded me also of one of my favorite games ever, which is Okami, where you are.
Oh yeah,
where you
he's
wa-
my favorite.
It's
I love
amazing.
Okami.
You are making nature bloom again, and I think
Yeah.
that's a topic that is not very explored in games, but it's always something that makes me quite happy when I see it in games. It's the idea of being one with nature, and we made it.
Oh yeah.
Very good, awesome. Let's then go back here. Get ourselves. Yes. So let's check on what if the chat has been going on and saying something interesting. Let's see what people have to say. Oh, we have lots of comments. Let's start with a little bit of a reading. Let's say some people are saying, "Oh, Raji is gorgeous," and they are offering congratulations. Obviously,
Well, thank you.
it's amazing. It's you're breathtaking. Good, good. Everyone
Oh,
seems to be
you're
enjoying the
breathtaking.
game. Awesome. So after we see all of that, like the game looks and plays awesome. You can already go and get it. By the way, it's already available as Avish has said before. But also now, what I want to talk about a bit is now that the project is done, right? what would be, let's say, a dream project for you in the future? If you had like a lot of means, a lot of time, what would be a dream project for you? It can be book, a movie, a game, just something that you really, really, really want to do.
Wow, that's such a tough question, because I'm still recovering from Raji. Yeah, the mind is pretty blank on that question because it's been such a hectic. I would say, if you give me all the money, I'll take a big vacation first,
Nice.
and during that vacation, we'll see what happens, what comes to the mind, and
Th-
figure it out from there.
that's a very
If
good answer. Until now, people have been thinking about, oh, either they don't know or then they have a very specific thing. But why not? A dream project can be a dream vacation, I guess. So it's a good answer.
okay.
What during development, like what was the most challenging part for you or for the team?
They were so. I think the most challenging part was this was a massive race against the time. We had a limited time. This is a first game. We're a very young studio in India. People don't make games for console and PC. Very few studios do. We were trying to. We had the mission of putting India on the game dev map. That we can make a game which
Hmm.
stands out. So with that, matching our own vision became a task, but I think we did match up to it. Other than that, they were always small. They are always small challenges. Like I remember the kind of level design I've done on this game is like the first time I was doing I told you, this is the first time the team was working on action adventure genre.
Yeah.
So there was a learning curve, some kind of a steep learning curve at the start, but I think we just went for it, and we did manage to defeat all the challenges.
Nice, nice, good. So now the team and you are looking forward to having a well-deserved break and thinking about the future later. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so we did take a break, but it felt we need another break right after it, right when it ended. So we took like a very short break, 4 days for like me, and then Ian and Shruti took 5 days. Other people took 5 days, but we got so tired on our vacation that when we got back, we were like, that was not enough.
Yeah, exactly. I know the feeling. Um,
Yes,
But
yeah.
we didn't talk a lot about the narrative for this game. We
Uh,
know that it's a story about empowering a young girl, a mortal girl, to make the world a better place, rescue her brother, defeat the evil and corruption that is set upon the world. But what would you say is the message that you want to give to the player with Raji? What do you want the player to feel after finishing the game, without spoiling anything, of course?
oh, that's a tough question, I'd say. Hmm. I would say Raji is a game which invites you to a story which is in an unusual setting, or like an unexplored setting. So when you play Raji, you might end up exploring a whole new domain of a new culture, because I can tell you that people have reached out to us and said the same thing, and that's where we felt successful. That we were able to teach people, and Raji fell in edutainment, education and entertainment for some people, and which was fantastic. So when the player plays this game, I don't want to tell them too much about characters or what gameplay and everything apart from what they've seen in the demo,
Mm-hmm.
but the feeling of experiencing something fresh is what players have appreciated us for. So I hope whoever does watch this or play this will feel that.
Okay, very good. A very, very good message to bring to the player. So we have been talking a lot about yourself, the team, the development of the game, and a little bit about the narrative. In terms of gameplay, like the demo finishes over there, and you only get to see a few skills in terms of like interacting with the environment, using different strong and weak attacks, and using some kind of special attack. Um, what kind of things does the game do mechanically with the combat further on? So if you can speak a little bit on that, so that our audience can maybe get a taste for it and get it more interested even.
Yeah, so moving forward in the game, you will see new platforming mechanics, new weapons, new elementals. You start with lightning, you get some other elementals, you get other new passive skills, you get your skill tree, you also get a different kind of puzzles, and you also see a very different settings, environment settings, and you come across some very interesting boss fights. Yeah.
Nice, seems good. We have a question in our chat right now. He's saying, "Do you think that Raji can be a punch in the wall that is too Euro and American centric?" What I think he means is, do you think Raji can make a breakthrough in terms of opening visibility towards games that aren't focused on European and American cultures, let's say, and probably even Japanese. There's also a lot of Japanese focused games, but not so much the representation of the rest of Asia, for example. Do you think that Raji will be able to open some doors for following game dev?
Yeah, and definitely, because I can tell you this much, we did not expect such a coverage for the game. We are like Rock, Paper, Shotgun, Kotaku, Polygon, IGN, PC Gamer, Eurogamer, and so many other LA Times, Washington Post. We were covered by so many top tier websites, which was unexpected and was really nice. And some of them we didn't reach out to. Most of them, they found the game and they wrote about us, and when we saw that, that was amazing. And that's the message that is being sent out, that if you do make something of high quality, interesting mechanics, innovate into your game, have a and your setting, and your protagonist is able, what your struggles of your main character are, if they're relatable, people are going to go for it. And I think we've seen this with very universes which are totally fantasy, like Horizon Zero Dawn. People relate to it, and that's why that was successful. So I think as long as you're offering something which is very interesting mechanic wise, or it's mechanic wise interesting, and by the looks of it is also eye candy, you will always get people's attention. And Raji is proof that those top tier media sites are interested. And as you know, Nintendo handpicked us for Indie Game World, so that sends out a big message.
Yeah.
uh, IGN has been very supportive throughout for our exclusive trailers uh, through them. And yeah, those are, I think, big statements, because in India we have people who were a little shocked to see all of this. And I think and then some of them are very inspired also. So yeah, Raji is definitely a punch in the wall.
Awesome. I hope that's true. I hope that Raji can come and inspire a whole new generation of Indian developers, because the game industry always wins, I'd say, when new fresh perspectives and voices that are not commonly heard are brought into the mainstream, let's say. So even more games from these kinds of different settings are always an advantage. We had Gwen Foster give a talk earlier on in the week, and she's a very strong proponent for Philippines games, and
Ah,
that's
okay.
also a market that is not very well explored. And I'm very happy to see that someone from a different culture that is not the usual focus of attention was able to make something that is very good and very worth it, but at the same time hold on to its cultural roots, because many times people feel like they're constrained, right? They're constrained, like you have to make something a little bit more westernized to appeal to an audience. But Raji is not only able to bring the quality in terms of visuals, in terms of sound, in terms of gameplay, it also retains the cultural heritage of the people who made it. And I think that's, at the end, that's what matters really. It's that the game brings forth the personality and the ideas and the culture and the perspective of the people making it. So I have to
Yeah.
thank you, man, for and the entire team for making this game. And
Well,
it's
thank
a
you so much. That's very great to hear what you just said. And I just wanted to say the fact Raji and this game designer from Philippines, and we've I think we are seeing some more games come out of Southeast Asia of very good quality. Yeah, and the reception will be good because I think games as a platform, video games as a platform is also maturing. So you will now start seeing more and more of stories and settings which are from different cultures and not just from Western cultures or Japanese culture. And I think that's where you're right. That's where the game industry win, because what do we gamers want? We want unique games. We all know innovation wins, and uh, people want people want something fresh every now and then. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think with that with that heartfelt message, we are going to wrap up this stream. I want to thank you, Avi, for being here, for giving us your time. I know it's a little bit late already back in
Yeah,
India,
that's
for allowing us to show this game. And I want to thank everyone in the chat as well for their amazing questions, for being here with us. And I hope we can hear about nodding heads games for a long time. So thank you very much, Avishal, for coming here.
Well, thank you so much for having us, and thanking you from the behalf of the team. Thank you for arranging this, and for all the viewers. And hope you guys enjoy the game. And see you then.
See
Take
you
care,
guys.
and good night. It's late night here now.
Yeah, guys, see you. Have a good night, everyone. I think we're still gonna have another talk here with Rami Ismail later on today, so make sure to stay tuned for that, and we'll see you in a little bit.